Okay, baby, we're back. Number 7. This one is specifically about exercise.
We're going more niche with this one.
Yeah.
Shorter episode,
Mm-hmm.
make it more niche. Maybe focus on a specific point a lot more on this one. So, go on. Free weights versus machines.
We'll start with that. We'll
Yeah.
start with, obviously, if you listen to us, you're into your health, your fitness, all that sort of stuff, and you most likely go to the gym. And it surprises me oftentimes how people don't understand the difference between doing, say, a shoulder press with dumbbells or a barbell and shoulder press with a sitting down machine, for example. So just to quickly break that down for you guys. Well, just to make it super simple, using a machine, anytime you use a machine, the weights are going to go forward, backwards, up, down, left, right, but it's all stabilized for you. You don't have to stabilize it, they don't wobble. Cables are a different thing, they're kind of classed as a free weight, so they don't count, but
Depends how you use them.
depends on how you use them.
But
Yeah,
most of the time with the machines, they just isolate a muscle by itself.
they do. They isolate the muscle and they don't strengthen or develop or include your joints, so the tendons and ligaments, all that sort of stuff that keeps your joints
I was going to say, even
tight.
like smaller stabilizing muscles
Even smaller
don't get
stabilizer
used.
muscles, and your core doesn't get used. As soon as you sit down, your core doesn't have a job to do. Basically, when you're standing up doing shoulder press with the free weights, then you might wobble a little bit, you might rock back onto your heels, and then your core needs to actively engage to keep you stable.
Yeah, you got to stay switched on
You
when
got
you do
to
free weights, whereas
do.
you can switch off and, you know, not concentrate when you're on a machine
Yeah,
because there's no sort of consequences to if you do it wrong.
100%.
So
No, I
even
agree.
like, say you're doing a barbell squat compared to like a leg press machine or leg extension, by doing the machine, you're just isolating your quad muscle and you can switch off quite easily. Whereas if you're doing like a barbell squat, you've got to keep everything engaged, and it's not just your quads work, and it's, you know, all of your legs pretty much, and even like smaller stabilizing muscles like say the QL muscle in your back
Yeah, you've got
stays
loads of
tensed
back
up, and
muscles
your core,
working. Yeah,
all your abdominals have to be activated
they
to
do.
complete the lift. So it's much more physically demanding exercise, and for that reason you probably get more reward doing it.
You do get more bang for your buck doing the free weights compared to doing the weights, but also everything has a risk and reward kind of pro and con to it. Do you know what I mean? So to list them out quickly, the pros of the weights, the machine weights that is yeah, they are more stable, they're more safe, there's less likelihood of you injuring yourself. If you do have an injury already, say you've got a shoulder problem on your joint, your shoulder keeps dislocating, things like that, and you need to build up a specific muscle around your shoulder, then you can isolate it with a machine and
Perfect.
get that specific muscle strong. But once you get past that stage, then you need to start working on the development and the strength and the inclusion of your joints as well as your muscle, because otherwise what end up happening is, and this is the case for most bodybuilders, you end up having massive kind of firepower, big muscles on shit joints. So a bodybuilder,
Yeah, it's like building a mansion on shit foundations pretty much.
Paul Chek uses the analogy of having a cannon on a canoe. There's no stability. You want to have a battleship to fire the cannons off. Do you know what I mean?
And you see plenty of bodybuilders like trying to hit boxing pads,
They
and
can't throw a
there's
dig.
absolutely nothing
Nah, they
behind it.
can't throw a punch. No, 100%. Because there's no, you're not working your sling systems. They haven't worked the core. They haven't done much
Yeah,
rotation, all that sort of stuff.
no
The
like
joints aren't strong enough.
no dexterity in the hips, you know, for turning your foot over
Yeah,
and punches sort of thing. It's just
it doesn't
purely muscle
translate.
based. Yeah,
It doesn't translate to real life fitness. It doesn't translate.
yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean?
like aesthetic over purpose or aesthetic over performance.
Over functionality.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? If you ask the bodybuilder or somebody on steroids who's absolutely massive to do a 3K run, he'd probably blow his knee out. You know what I mean? Because he's used to doing up, down, push and pull with his legs. He's not used to being unstable surfaces, running up and down hills and having to jump over things and land on one foot at a time and all these sort of things. So something that you want to be aware of if you are doing too many machine weights is you're going to start becoming people kind of throw this term around in the gym often, a big stiff idiot, basically.
Yeah, it's
Which is a
good
good,
point.
yeah.
But like you said, the machines are still good if you've got an injury.
They are
Because at
good
the
if
end of
you've
the
got an
day,
injury.
the gym is just a controlled environment, isn't it? It's for you to train and get stronger under certain controls for when you apply it to your performance. It's like the step before performance to prep you for it. So if the machine already is quite controlled, because like you said, it stabilizes certain joints and stabilizing muscles for you already, just so you can isolate a singular muscle, then that's perfect. If you have got an injury, so we're not saying they're completely useless, there's just a time and a place for them. And most people who aren't injured in the gym, we'd probably say stay away from them slightly more, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I'd rather my clients do lighter weight but keep it as a free weight than try and push themselves too heavy on machined weights. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, the other thing with the machines is a lot of the time they don't work the full range of motion as well. So that's a problem in itself because you're not strengthening every single part of the muscle. It's like you concentrate in a smaller area. So you're getting a full sense of strength, really.
You are, and also when your joints do end up in kind of extreme ranges of motion, they're gonna snap, they're gonna pull. You're not gonna have any strength in the extreme ranges of motion. Somebody like a knees over toes guy who does a lot of exercises at the end range of motion is building up the strength of his tendons, ligaments, and kind of joint health overall because he's getting strong in these extreme positions. So you want to be strong everywhere. You know what I mean? Not just strong here. You want to be strong going as far back as you can, as far forward as you can, etc. At the end of the day, the gym overall should be your playground, and you should be trying different things. You should be trying to get good at everything, not just. It's quite detrimental when you just get stuck to one ideology, one modality. Right, I'm just a bodybuilder, or I'm just this, or I'm just that. You know what I mean? There's obviously we see it on the fitness industry all the time on Instagram and all that. There's all these different people kind of like fighting against each other, the fascia people versus the end range of motion people versus the functional patterns people versus the this versus the that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're looking too far down the lens, aren't you? You should mix everything together. There's a time and a place
There's time and place for everything.
for all
There
of it.
is. There's a time and a place for everything. So, like Bruce Lee says, absorb what is useful, disregard what is not, and add what is kind of uniquely your own. So just make it your own, basically. So that's what we do. We take a little bit off of everyone, and whatever works for whatever situation works for that situation, and we use it.
Same applies for us if you're listening to us. There'll be stuff that you like and stuff that you don't like.
Facts.
Stuff that you can program for yourself and make it your own. So take what we say with a pinch of salt as well. Find what works best for you.
Do
And
your own research.
we've said that in pretty much every episode so far, haven't we?
100%.
Find what works best for you.
100%. We're just giving you a little bit of we're just throwing ideas out to you guys and be like, we've tried this, we've done this, we know this has worked in our experience, so it might work for you as well. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the a quick breakdown on the machines versus the free weights. Once you get to the machines versus the free weights and you're kind of comfortable doing both, then you start wanting to look into Paul Chek calls them the 7 primal movement patterns. So these are the 7 movement patterns that if you can't do them in nature, then you end up basically
Useless.
left behind. Yeah, if we're a tribe of 150 people or whatever, and you can't lunge over this tree bark or
Tree
log or
stump.
whatever, tree stump, whatever, then you're going to get left behind. So obviously lunges is one of them. Squatting is another one, because most people don't know this, but you're meant to take a shit in a squat position, basically. So
Thrown out already.
I'm going in, bro. I ain't holding back. Let's go. Listen, when I was in India as a kid, that's what the toilet was. Basically a hole in the floor. You used to squat down and get into that end range of motion squat, which most people can't even do anymore because we sit down too often, and we sit down for 6 hours a day at school from the age of whatever, you know what I mean? When you're in primary school, really young primary school, the first few years, you're always sitting on the floor most of the time, and you got to sit cross-legged, and you can squat, and babies can naturally squat.
I was going to say, people, like, I've seen people recently call it, like, the child squat, where you squat
Or the
all
Asian
way
squat.
down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, only kids can do it. Because
No,
people get too stiff and they, like you
you
said,
just
when you
lose
sit
it.
on a chair, by sitting on a chair, you're automatically not testing the end range of motion.
Yeah, for sure.
So that just stiffens you up over time.
Yeah. Um, so if you can't take a shit properly in the woods because there's no toilets in there, and you can't squat behind the fucking tree stump and do your business, then you're gonna get left behind. You know what I mean? You're gonna die. You're full of shit. You know what I mean?
People weren't expecting that, were they, on this one?
But
I wasn't expecting. I wasn't
if
expecting
you're
that to come up.
fuck it,
But what were you saying the other day about how, like, when you squat to the end range of motion, it, like,
it
activates all your
it
sort of,
doesn't. What it does is when you're
or
sat
it
like this,
lines.
when you're sat like this, like you would be sat on the toilet, then there's still tendons, ligaments, basically restricting the amount you can open up. You know what I mean? So when you squat all the way down, or what you can do if you want to be a little bit more civilized, is you can get like a little step like this to put here, and then take a shit in this position. You know what I mean? Like this on your toilet seat. And when you're like this, when your knees are higher than your hips, then it opens everything up a lot more, and you can fully release what you need to do. You know what I mean? So, yeah, squats another one. Squat, lunges,
You get everything on this podcast, don't you?
pulling something, pushing something, a deadlifting something off the floor. Because if you hunt animal, then you have to lift it up. You know what I mean?
Gait as well.
Your gait is another one, and then twisting is another one as well. That's the 7.
So gait is just running, sprinting, jogging.
Gait is
walking.
being able to run, sprint, jog, walk in a correct movement pattern and
Yeah.
not fuck your knees and ankles up when you do it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's another thing. When you start wearing barefoot shoes and you stop wearing nice looking trainers, then your gait fixes itself because you can't heel stride.
Forces you to have your foot in the right
Your
anatomical position.
It does, yeah. So we're a
Spread your toes out.
big fan of the barefoot shoes and wear them all the time. Most of the time, you know. So yeah,
And toe separators as well. Let's go
toe
with them.
separators.
If you don't want to wear them out and about at home, you can just wear toe separators, spread your
can.
toes out.
Yeah, for sure. So
I mean, even still, it'll improve your balance because if your toes are spread out wider, your foot gets bigger. You've got bigger surface area to balance on.
and also it activates all mad different parts of your calves when you start using the last 2 toes, which you don't really use in trainers because it kind of crumples your feet up a
Yeah.
little bit.
I mean, I recommend that to a lot of my clients. If they've got like hip issues or knee issues, a lot of the time, like he'll try to address the issue straight away, but at the same time, I always sort of explain that at the end of the day, your foot is the first point of contact on the floor. That's like the foundation to your sort of posture in a way. So if you don't address the foundation or the first point of contact, then there's a good chance the rest of, your joints or different body parts are going to be slightly off.
For sure, yeah. It's your ankle, knee, and hip are all kind of directly correlated. So if you start fucking with your feet, then that starts messing your ankle position up. then that has a knock-on effect on your knee, which ends up having a knock-on effect on your hip. And you can fix a lot of that sort of stuff with,
If you've got like a bad hip, there's a good chance that there's something wrong with your knee or your foot.
for sure.
Or even if it's like, say someone's torn their ACL sort of thing, like, nah, it's just my ACL. You could still say, well, I bet you there was still something wrong with your foot positioning for it to happen. You know, sometimes there's like no way around it. But a lot of the time, especially in sports, you know, especially like footballers, they wear dead tight shoes, like the feet are cramped together, or like even basketball players, like you see, is it LeBron James who's got like fucking mad toes because his feet are just mashed together? But yeah,
It's yeah. So what we're saying is, the point that we're trying to make is, your body is a complete holistic system. If you start messing with one thing, it has a knock-on effect on everything. So it's very dangerous just to isolate. I'm just doing shoulders today, bro. Do you know what I mean? Type of thing. So, and when you do have injuries, you got to look kind of, as massage therapists, we know this. You got to look above it, beyond it, around the area of the actual pain point, and you'll find out that the source of the pain usually comes from something else.
read between the lines.
You do,
That's
yeah.
the sort of stuff.
You do, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, that's the point we're trying to make, guys. Vary your exercises. Do different. Hello.
Dog was called Jeremy. The other one called Andy the other week.
Oh, lad. That's funny. So yeah, vary your exercise. Try to do a little bit of everything. Don't get stuck into one particular niche part of exercise, because over time it has adverse effects on your body, usually because your body's very holistic. You need to be able to stimulate every part of your mind and your body. So yeah,
I was going to say, before we finish, I think we should add or talk about using light weights, like light free weights, certain exercises. Because like we were saying, we use a shoulder press machine, for example. A lot of the time, your arms start like that and they finish about there. Like we said, it doesn't go through the full range of motion. I think it'd be good to mention that if you pick up a really light weight, say like 5 kilo weight, and you can force your arm down as low as you physically can and push it as high as you can, we think that'd be better than using the machine.
much better for your joint health, for sure. And when you do these free weights, you have to start off light. It's quite humbling, you know what I mean? Because otherwise you are going to risk getting injuries. Again, pros and cons with the free weights.
It's quality over quantity with this type of stuff.
With the free weights, the pros are, you're going to work your stabilizer muscles, all the stabilizing parts of your joint, tendons, ligaments. It's harder. You're going to get more bang for your buck. But the cons are, risk of injury is much higher. So definitely start off light. There's something called muscle irradiation. The only reason why you really should increase the weight is to be able to activate more parts of your muscle fiber. So the reason why the free weights will build you more muscle and more strength a lot faster is because you have to squeeze and stabilize the weight and actually have a better mind muscle connection to your actual body. So it forces you to actually think about engaging more percentage of your muscle. That makes sense. You know what I mean? When you engage more of your muscle, then that's going to force it to adapt and grow bigger. Sometimes you can cheat yourself with the free weights, or you can cheat yourself with the machine weights as well and do things too fast. You can get a hell of a workout with super light weights, and you'll see big bodybuilders do these type of things as well, but just really slow, control, isolating it down, stopping,
Even like
consciously thinking about squeezing the muscle harder, pushing again, things like that. That's the whole purpose of it. It's a mind muscle connection, It's not just about throwing the weight around and look how much I can lift type of thing. You know what I
Like
mean?
eccentric sort of falls into that category, doesn't it? Sort of
For sure.
exercises. I know there was a big study done with that where they took like a sports team, maybe like a under 16s, under 17s team, tried to make them stronger by doing eccentric exercises, and they found like a big growing strength by exposing them to like really heavy weights that they wouldn't ever be able to lift, but maybe like strapping like a heavy weight, doing weighted dips, and they just slowly lower themselves down, tense against the muscle. That's another option for you.
So just to break down, because people might not know, eccentric, concentric, and isometric. Do you know what I mean? So the concentric part is the, say if I'm doing a bench press, is the pushing up. That part works on your strength for the most part. The eccentric is the lowering of the weight. That's actually where you build the most muscle, on the eccentric part. So if you do slow eccentrics, again you'll see a lot of bodybuilders doing that. Then, like I said, you build muscle a lot faster. And then you've got isometric as well, which is, say, I might put a weight on the machine bench press that's too heavy for me and I can't lift it, or I might put pins on the bar above the bar so I can't move. I'm pushing against the pins basically, and I'm just pushing for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever that your program is programmed to do. And that kind of concentric part is, sorry, the isometric part of the exercise is just about building mind muscle connection, engaging more of the muscle fibers, a higher percentage of muscle fibers in your actual muscles.
It's a
So
good way.
that's amazing way to train.
It's a good way to sort of find, if you've got like an injury or like a slight imbalance or a weakness, that's a good way to sort of find out which muscles causing you issues.
And to work on, again, something that we haven't really spoke about yet, but super important, is doing unilateral exercises, because nobody's completely kind of balanced. I know my left pec is slightly bigger than my right pec, for example, or whatever the case may be. So then you can start just working on one side or the other side, or doing split squats, or doing single leg jumps, or whatever the case may be. But it's good to test which side is stronger and which side isn't, and you can't do that with the machines most of the time. Do you know what I mean? You can slightly, but
Should we touch on cables before we finish?
we should.
Because we mentioned cables.
So cables
at the
are
start.
basically like a free weight because they're not stabilized. They move all over the gaff, so they force you to have to stabilize them, which is going to work more of your tendons, ligaments, joints, overall, your core muscles, all the stabilizer muscles around your joints, all of that sort of stuff. So
Thing you've
I'm a
got to
fan
be
of cables.
thing you got to be careful of sometimes is if it's a shit cable machine. Sometimes the initial pull on the cable itself is quite light, and then it goes heavy out of nowhere. Even if you haven't actually changed the weight, if it's a good cable machine, it should be the same
Consistency
throughout the whole sort
of resistance. But
Yeah.
a lot of times the cables get knackered, and then
Yeah.
they might not be lubed up correctly and all that, and you find sticky points in them, and something to be aware of for sure. But
The other thing with the cables is, like the initial part when you pull the cable out, and there's like it's quite slack, and then it toughens up whenever you're doing exercise on the cable machine. Take a step out, before you start, just so you can keep that same consistency.
you can keep the time and the tension.
Yeah.
So this is what I was talking about. A muscle irritation basically means if I'm doing a grip strength test and I'm squeezing as hard as I can with my left hand and I get a certain score, if I squeeze something as hard as I can with my right hand at the same time as retesting, I'm going to get a higher score. If I consciously engage my lat and my shoulder and my bicep and my pec and my forearm and then squeeze because I've got more muscles being activated, that's going to again increase how much force I can produce on the actual kind of grip strength machine. So you want to make sure that you're getting loads of time under tension, With the machines, you can go up and drop down all the way, and it's just like as soon as it drops down, the weight comes off, and you're not having to hold anything basically. So it's a rest. You can isolate it by stopping it before it gets to that point and going up. Same with the machines. Same with the free weights. You can stay in that time and the tension phase, so you can get a lot more out of your exercises, and you can probably do your workouts a lot quicker as well. You know what I mean?
So I was just thinking falls under this category. Treadmills. Run on a flat surface. You can switch off quite easily on the treadmill. Same sort of applies if you're running like out where we are. Your foot's going to be challenged by the different surface, constantly twisting on one leg, as you're running over like the tree stumps or the roots of the tree. Or might be leaves where you slip a little bit. Gotta stay switched on. Same sort of thing.
It is. It makes you so much more conscious when you're having to run on a trail or up a hill or on different surfaces, because you really need to be switched on to every step that you're taking. Sometimes we can switch off when we're doing exercises, machines, treadmills, whatever the case may be. And in my experience, being in gyms all my life, it's when you switch off and you're just doing something la-di-da, thinking about something else, is when you end up slipping, falling, injuring yourself, etc., etc. So, yeah. Again, we spoke about this in the past. Mind, body, connection. You want your gym sessions to kind of stimulate you up here as well. Do you know what I mean? To grow some new motor neurons in your brain, some new neural pathways as well. So try exercises that you've never tried before. Try movement patterns that you've never tried before.
Test your agility and
test your agility. Like, can you get into an arse to grass squat? Can you jump? Again, there's studies that show that like people after 30 years old, or a large portion of people after 30, never sprint again. I can guess that a large portion of people after 30 never jump off things again. You know what I mean? And they never do balancing exercises. Oftentimes, that's something that I include in all my sessions. I always have a balancing exercise as a warm-up. I usually have a little bit of a jump as well, because it's just something that we don't do. As kids, we're always jumping, balancing on things, running up and down on different surfaces. As you get older, we kind of stop doing all that sort of stuff. And then you might be on the bus or on the train or whatever else as a 50, 60-year-old, whatever, and you can't keep your balance and you fall over and you break your hip and then you die or whatever. You know what I mean? As an extreme example, but it happens. Do you know what I mean? You could be a painter and working on ladders and whatever else. If you're working on ladders, you should be learning how to jump and land correctly, because you might fall off one day. You know what I mean? And if you've got the reflexes of a cat,
or just the coordination,
good coordination, you can save
down.
yourself from life-changing injuries. Do you know what I mean? You could listen. At the end of the day, the only reason why we're giving out all this information is because you've got one game piece. We are born with one body. Imagine. So Christian, my SSC coach, actually said this to me the other day, and it rang so true, that he's like, imagine if when you're born, you get given a car, and you're like, right, and they say, right, this is the only car that you get to have your whole life. Wouldn't you look after it, put the best fuel in it, make sure that the brakes are good, the suspension, the disc, give it a service every 6 months? You know what I mean? You'd thoroughly look after it. Do you know what I mean? We only get given one body in our whole lifetime, in this lifetime anyway. Do you know what I mean? So why do we abuse it? You know, we don't fucking work on the agility of the car. We don't work on learning all of the different mechanics of the car.
What all the buttons do.
What all the buttons do. Yeah, exactly. So we should really, this body is the most amazing piece of technology ever created. Much better than AI and all this other stuff. We just don't explore it enough. You know what I mean?
I've heard Paul Chak say about that. Like people take better care of the cars than they do themselves.
They do. Yeah.
It just doesn't make much sense.
Doesn't, no. It's one of them ones.
Is that a good place to end it, do you think?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, for now. Until next time, team. More free game on the next one. Let us know if you wanted to speak about anything in particular.
Yeah.
But we're going to start keeping it a little bit shorter now for the next few and just reel off
Comment
one
what you
topic.
think.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah. One topic at a time. 15, 20, 30 minute, whatever this was. And then move on to the next.
Yeah. It's a good place to finish.
Peace.
Press whatever button's there. If you're on audio, rate us. Rate us however many stars you want. Or press whatever button you want, whatever big red button's there at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Catch you on the next one.
For sure.